Salt. It's a substance so common and unassuming that it often goes unnoticed in our daily lives. Yet, throughout history and across various cultures, salt has carried a weight far beyond its culinary uses. Its role in spiritual and ritualistic practices raises questions and curiosities that many have not yet explored. Today, we're going to get into the fascinating and somewhat controversial idea that salt might be considered a forbidden spiritual weapon, a notion that has rarely been discussed openly. Imagine for a moment that something as ordinary as salt could hold secrets so profound that they challenge our understanding of spirituality and power. To many, salt is just a seasoning, a simple compound of sodium and chlorine. But in the realm of mysticism and ancient traditions, salt has been revered as a powerful element with the potential to influence the spiritual world. Its use in rituals and beliefs is steeped in history, carrying meanings that transcend the kitchen. Historically, salt has been used in various cultures as a symbol of purity and protection. Ancient Egyptians, for instance, believed that salt had the power to ward off evil spirits and protect the soul. The practice of using salt in religious rituals wasn't merely about its physical properties but rather its perceived spiritual significance. This perspective was not limited to one culture, it was a common thread woven into the spiritual practices of many civilizations. In medieval Europe, salt was often used in rituals to bless and protect homes. It was sprinkled around the threshold of a house to keep negative forces at bay. This practice highlights how salt was viewed as a guardian against malevolent energies. Such uses of salt suggest that its power was not just about its physical attributes but also about the intentions and beliefs attributed to it by those who used it. The symbolism of salt extends into modern spiritual practices as well. In many New Age and metaphysical traditions, salt is still seen as a cleansing agent that can purify spaces and people. Its ability to absorb negative energy is a commonly held belief, and it's often used in rituals to create sacred spaces. This continued use underscores the idea that salt holds a special place in the spiritual toolkit, with its power derived from both its physical and symbolic properties. However, this reverence for salt also leads to some intriguing questions. If salt is so revered and powerful, why is it that this aspect of its use is not more widely acknowledged? Why is it that the idea of salt as a spiritual weapon is often brushed aside or regarded with skepticism? The answer might lie in the very nature of its power and its potential implications. One reason might be that the concept of salt as a spiritual tool challenges conventional beliefs. In a world where science and materialism often overshadow spiritual practices, the idea that something as mundane as salt could have profound spiritual significance might seem improbable to some. This skepticism can lead to the suppression or dismissal of knowledge that doesn't fit neatly into the modern worldview. Additionally, the notion of salt as a forbidden spiritual weapon suggests a level of power and control that could be seen as threatening. If salt can indeed influence spiritual realms and protect against negative forces, then it becomes a tool of considerable importance. This importance could lead to a reluctance to openly discuss or validate its spiritual role, perhaps out of fear of misusing its power or disrupting established norms. Despite these challenges, there are still many who explore and think of the spiritual aspects of salt. In various traditions, salt is used in rituals to create protective barriers, to cleanse spaces of negative energy, and to invoke blessings. These practices highlight the enduring belief in salt's ability to affect the spiritual world, even if the reasons behind its effectiveness remain partly shrouded in mystery. The use of salt in spiritual practices is not just about the substance itself but also about the intent and focus of the practitioner. In many rituals, it is the intention behind the use of salt that imbues it with power. This concept aligns with the broader understanding of spirituality, where the mind and intention play crucial roles in shaping outcomes. If we look at salt from a broader perspective, we find that its symbolic significance spans many cultures and spiritual traditions. In the Jewish tradition, salt is used in the ceremony of the Sabbath to symbolize the covenant between God and the Jewish people. In Christianity, salt is mentioned in the Bible as a symbol of preservation and purity. These examples illustrate how salt has been imbued with spiritual meaning across different contexts. In the context of modern spirituality, the use of salt continues to evolve. Many contemporary practitioners incorporate salt into their rituals, not just as a physical substance but as a symbol of their intentions and beliefs. The practice of using salt for spiritual purposes often involves a deep understanding of its symbolism and a respect for its historical significance. The exploration of salt as a spiritual weapon invites us to consider the broader implications of how everyday objects can carry hidden meanings and powers. It challenges us to look beyond the surface and to appreciate the richness of traditions that have ascribed spiritual significance to seemingly ordinary elements. Building on the notion that salt might hold hidden spiritual significance, it's crucial to examine how different cultures have utilized salt in various mystical and ritualistic contexts. Beyond its historical applications, contemporary spiritual practices also reflect an evolving understanding of salt's role. This evolution points to a deeper, perhaps more intricate relationship between salt and human consciousness. One aspect to consider is the symbolism of salt in alchemical traditions. Alchemy, with its focus on transformation and the search for the philosopher's stone, often used salt as a key element. In alchemical texts, salt was associated with the principle of solution, which is the process of dissolving substances to reveal their true nature. This symbolic use of salt underscores its role as a substance capable of revealing hidden truths and facilitating transformation. Alchemists believed that salt could help purify and balance elements, not just in physical terms but also in spiritual realms. This ancient perspective invites us to think about how salt might serve as a tool for personal and spiritual alchemy, aiding in the transformation of one's inner self. Additionally, salt's role in folklore and magical practices across different cultures provides further insight into its mystical significance. For example, in some Eastern traditions, salt is used in rituals to balance the energies within a space or individual. It is believed that salt can absorb and neutralize negative energies, creating a harmonious environment. This use of salt reflects a broader understanding of its ability to influence the subtle energies that pervade our lives. Such practices often involve placing salt in specific areas or using it in ceremonial contexts to promote well-being and spiritual alignment. Moreover, the concept of salt as a protective barrier against malevolent forces is not confined to historical or traditional practices. In modern spiritual practices, the use of salt in rituals and ceremonies continues to be prevalent. For instance, many practitioners of contemporary witchcraft and magical traditions use salt in circle casting and protection spells. In these contexts, salt is often sprinkled around the perimeter of a ritual space to create a boundary that shields against negative influences. This modern application reflects a continuity of the belief in salt's protective properties, suggesting that its spiritual significance remains relevant in contemporary practices. The fascination with salt's potential as a spiritual weapon also extends to its use in healing practices. Salt therapy, or halotherapy, has gained popularity as a method for promoting physical and mental well-being. In this practice, salt is used in various forms, such as in salt caves or salt lamps, to create a therapeutic environment. Proponents of salt therapy argue that the mineral's properties can help cleanse the body and mind, echoing ancient beliefs about salt's purifying effects. This modern adaptation highlights how salt's symbolic and practical uses have adapted to contemporary health and wellness trends. In exploring salt's spiritual dimensions, it's also worth considering its impact on personal intention and focus. Many spiritual practices emphasize the importance of intention in manifesting desired outcomes. When salt is used in rituals or meditations, it often acts as a physical representation of one's intentions. By incorporating salt into spiritual practices, individuals may enhance their focus and clarity, channeling their intentions more effectively. This practice suggests that the power of salt may lie not just in its physical properties but also in the conscious effort and belief of the practitioner. Ultimately, the exploration of salt as a spiritual element reveals a rich tapestry of beliefs and practices that span cultures and eras. Whether viewed through the lens of ancient alchemy, contemporary rituals, or modern wellness practices, salt continues to hold a place of intrigue and significance. Its role as a potential spiritual weapon, while not widely discussed, invites us to consider the deeper meanings and possibilities that lie within seemingly ordinary substances. As we get further into these mysteries, we may uncover new insights that challenge our understanding of the spiritual and material worlds, revealing the profound connections that bind them together. In the end, the idea of salt as a forbidden spiritual weapon opens up a realm of possibilities for understanding and harnessing the power of ordinary substances. Whether or not one subscribes to the belief in salt's spiritual potency, the discussions surrounding it encourage a deeper exploration of the ways in which our perceptions of the world can shape our experiences. The practice of exploring and understanding the spiritual dimensions of everyday objects like salt offers a pathway to reconnect with ancient wisdom and to appreciate the subtle forces that influence our lives. It reminds us that the world is full of mysteries and that sometimes, the most profound truths can be found in the most unexpected places. As we continue to explore and question the role of salt in spiritual practices, we also open ourselves to the possibility of discovering new insights and perspectives. This journey of exploration invites us to remain curious and open-minded, recognizing that the ordinary can often hold extraordinary significance.